What can I do to intro this episode? Okay, I have a semi-serious thing.
I have a semi too.
Do you have a semi-serious thing or just a semi?
Just a semi.
Now you're going to feel bad for saying that because now there's a certain person who we bleeped out of this episode or out of this podcast a few times. She did get mentioned a while ago, but ever since, certain things happen, now she gets bleeped out for good reason. And I will say, now, you could say this is like me or unlike me. I don't know. Because I can shed some tears about things. But also, I'm not a sentimental person either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm emotional, but I'm not sentimental.
Yeah.
But I know this sounds crazy.
You're prefacing a lot before you say what it is.
I
and
know.
I'm losing.
That is a bad habit of mine, and I'm sorry. See, because I want to give it context.
You're still doing it.
I know. That was the funny part. When I found out that you were coming to Thanksgiving with Lauren, even though it was at Mike and Kay's, and, it's just...
Put the gravy on it.
Put the gravy on it. But when I found out that you and Lauren were coming to Thanksgiving, I didn't shed a tear down my face. Like a tear didn't roll across my skin.
Yeah.
But when you get a tear and it's it just stays in your eyes, and if you blink right or move right, it would fall.
Some would say welled up.
Yeah, I welled up.
Oh.
I choked up.
Oh.
I woke up from...
I thought we were about to go into the slam poetry freestyle.
What up with that? What up with that?
Oh, I was thinking of Lamorne and Rick Glassman.
Mm-hmm. And
I rise.
I rise. Yeah, it was just so different.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain person who shall not be named, and I think I've only interacted with her a matter of hours in my whole life.
Right.
You can count them on one hand. And then as soon as you and Lauren are more serious, then we're having meals together and stuff, family ones.
Yeah.
It was so different. And I think because Mom had just been here, and it was sort of weird that Mom got together with her and got to spend time with her too.
Yeah.
And of course it's a little bit talking about that and whatever. And whatever happens in your relationship is whatever, but it was just so strikingly different that it was...
I know. That's been
brought a tear to my eye, man.
It's been my life the last year.
I know, dog.
I'm like, oh, this is different. This is nice.
And then she had to hear about my medical problems.
I warned her before.
Dude, I was in I already told you.
I couldn't tell you in such a
was crazy
dissociative
that night.
State.
I was absolutely insane.
The only time I felt that I was like, oh, this is different than I thought was when we went to the garage.
That's what I was just going to say. I was the most out of it because in the house we had dinner. There was enough going on. Boom, 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 boom. Moved to the next thing. Mm-hmm. That I could sort of hide how I was feeling. But when we went to the garage, I was number one, I was ready to go home because it was just my mentals were crazy then. Yeah. And then I was just sort of letting stuff happen around me. I was trying to let you guys talk. I felt so bad. That was the other thing. I welled up, and then it's happening.
Did you well up there, or did you well up when we said that we would come?
It was maybe 3 days before.
Yeah.
But then when we were up in the garage, it was sort of like a moment because it was like the four of us and Declan, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of like, oh, this would be the moment we'd be having fun. And like, oh, couples, ha, 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 you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just so far gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I know. I felt bad.
There's more to come.
More way than one. Okay. Thank you for joining our little family therapy session.
This is where throwback to Bad Brothers.
We need to mix that in more.
I know. We do.
We can't just be talking about Hawkeye.
Because every
stuff
time
like
someone's like, oh, what do you guys talk about? When they discover the podcast, I'm like, what do you guys talk about? Well, I'm like, it was this, but now it's anything.
Yeah.
Get back on track.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you came into this podcast late, Will and I, that's the whole point. We didn't talk. We always lived within 5 minutes of each other, and then we'd see each other once a year. That's not cool.
Not
And
cool.
now it's cool. 77 episodes later. Okay, so, and another thing we've been doing lately is bringing you the jokes. And Will tickled your fancy last week, and I know we got a bunch of Boris Johnson heads out there.
I actually wrote some on paper this time.
Oh,
I've never done that before.
I wrote some on legal because it was what I had.
Mine's legal because on the back is
It's a legal document.
A legal document of my house rules.
Mine is legal size, and it's how much money.
The Tacoma Housing Authority lease agreement. I needed a piece of paper.
Mm.
The first one I found with a blank back. And I'm like, the lease is what it is. If I'm not going to screw up the pet policy. I'm not going to tamper with the smoke detectors. Blah, 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 blah.
Mine is Virginia Mason, Franciscan Health, Tacoma Consolidated Statement of Operations, month to date, fiscal year 2012, period ending November 30th, 2021. Okay, hit me with a joke or two, man.
All right. It has been revealed that 3 parties were held at Downing Street. That is the official residence of the Prime Minister of the UK. While the rest of the UK was in lockdown in 2020, had multiple parties. No need to worry though, because everyone in attendance was an adult, so Prince Andrew was not in attendance.
Get on.
I was worried that would be too deep of a cut.
I like it.
But it's back in the news.
It's in the news.
Ghislaine's trial.
Yeelane, or whatever her name is.
I know. I started listening to NPR. They have one. They have one that's like 20 minutes long.
You an NPR guy?
Well, they have one on Spotify that's like 20 minutes long.
One what? A podcast?
They call it a podcast, but it's literally 20 minutes. It's called Up First. They give you like the top 3. Like, this is what's going on.
Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. They say Ghislaine.
You know the craziest part about her is... Not the craziest. Sorry.
Probably not the craziest.
One crazy thing is that they said she was like this Reddit super user.
What?
She was like the first person to reach all these milestones on Reddit and stuff like that. She was posting like a gazillion times a day. Was like super well known, like a crazy super Reddit user. But also buried in there was
the dark
like
web.
Advocating for lower age of consent
Crazy
years. But anyways, the day she got arrested,
have you heard of nurdles?
No.
Nurdles are possibly the worst toxic waste you have probably never heard of.
Oh, dang.
Here's a little something that happened. When the Express Pearl, not to be confused with the Black Pearl, sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka. Is it Sri Lanka or Sri Lanka?
I think it's Sri.
With the SH sound?
Yeah.
Okay, Sri Lanka. People were worried that, the ship's 350 tons of fuel would leak into the sea. However,
That's not good.
the real disaster was 87 containers full of nurdles.
I still don't know what this is.
Nurdles are lentil-sized pieces of plastic that they use to melt down at the plastic factories when they make plastic stuff.
Oh.
And so it's just little, essentially rocks, but plastic that they melt, make stuff out of.
Mm-hmm.
87 big old containers spilled into the ocean. They've been washing up on beaches around the coast. For more information on this, you can read Yertle the Turtle is Full of Nurdles by Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
But didn't he die, Dr. Seuss?
Yeah,
So who's naming this stuff? The only guy I would think would name plastic beads nurdles would be Dr. Seuss.
Is that the real name where nerds come from?
No, it's Nurd.
Yeah, they just changed it
Maybe.
for marketing.
Did Greta Thunberg name it?
That's what I thought. I thought we were going to get a Greta Thunberg tie-in.
There it is.
This is Sri. SR. But maybe because SR has a kind of like a weird sound to it. Sri.
Where is there another SR? Can't think of one.
USSR.
That's what I thought of.
Oh, hold on. Actually, keep talking.
You're
That's
gonna
what we
do
on a podcast.
You ever done? I have a confession. When Matt and I used to play Words with Friends, sometimes I would use the Scrabble cheat.
Oh, I try to play Words with Friends with him, and same thing. I'm like, no offense, but come on. He would put down a word. I'm like,
He'd put it down a word
Bro.
like nurdles.
I'm like, no, man, you are not doing that.
Sometimes you just need a good old 70-point word to stay in the game. I wouldn't use it all the time, but this is where you could use it to find a word that starts with SR.
Oh, SR words are sparse, let me tell you.
Or SRARS.
Oh, I don't want ads. Too late. Okay.
Ads stink.
Okay, how about this? A new mobile assisted suicide pod
Oh, I saw that.
was approved in Switzerland. The pod is a smart car sized unit that floods the person with nitrogen until they die. Creators say the mobility allows people to die peacefully in maybe a beautiful field or another place special to the family. Or you can take it to the beach for an all-new Tide Pod challenge.
Tide Pod.
Bringing it back. Okay, this was not really good, but I had to put it in here. Various GOP members took family Christmas photos showing their 17 children dressed in flannel, gun in hand, around the Christmas tree. You been seeing that?
I've seen some.
They got their kids with the AK, you know?
AR.
I just said AK because it's like, it just flows better, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a Second Amendment thing. They just said, no child of mine is going to don me now some gay apparel. No, sir.
No child of mine is going to make the Yuletide gay.
Let's see. Where do I get? I got a 3B here. A hiker climbing France's Mont Blanc can keep $84,000 in jewels he found on the mountain.
What?
Researchers think the jewels came from an Indian Air plane crash, which killed 117 people in 1966. It's just nice to know the story has a happy ending.
Someone made it out okay. Speaking of Indians, the only words that I pulled up here that start with SR are all Indian
exactly, yeah.
Sanskrit stuff.
You may have seen photos from the moon last week taken by the Chinese rover U2. It's called YUTU-2. That's what their rover is called.
YUTU.
Then the number 2.
U2.
Second one. Anyway, these photos showed a weird cube shape sticking out over the horizon, nicknamed the Hut. Because that's kind of what it looks like. You see it on the horizon, and then obviously it's weird. It's the moon. It's a little square.
But what is it?
The confounded Chinese scientists will maneuver the rover will maneuver the rover to the strange shape soon. They're calling it mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
I was waiting for the Bono joke.
But look at the picture, see how it's very square? It's interesting.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure it's just how the rocks are sort of the angle of the dangle and all that stuff.
It looks like two different rocks.
Will just found out the angle of the dangle is proportionate to the heat of the meat.
I did not know.
I remember the first time I heard the second part, I was flabbergasted.
Yeah, it looks like a straight up container box on the horizon.
Yeah, a hut, you might say.
When I think of hut, I think of pointy on top.
Pointy on top. Wow.
When's the last hut you saw that was square or flat on top?
Don't act like you know the huts I've seen. Nobody knows the huts.
Thatched roof hut. Some sort of branches on top.
Like maybe a circle?
Yeah. Bumblebee tuna guy hanging out in the front door.
There was a thing about what was it in this book I read about like missionaries would go in to these villages in like Central and South America or whatever, and they had a way that they would build a church. 4 walls, build the church, come in. Mm-hmm. This is what a church looks like. Ding, dong, ding.
And it was like freaked the locals out because it was square?
Yeah, it was because like the circle represented like perfection.
Of course.
The squareness of the church represented like evil.
The devil.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, they would just not like.
Know who we should ask about that? Joel Osteen.
Yeah. Found money in the walls of your hut.
It's renovations. Maybe he was trying to make it more circular. I had another Bible thing.
Oh, I think this got cut out of the last episode. I wanted to say Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, yeah.
The Hanukkah ended a couple weeks ago now, but.
The 8 days, not 12.
Yeah, it got cut out. But Happy Hanukkah to everybody who visits on this street here.
Kwanzaa is the 26th.
Wow.
What?
I don't know if I need to acknowledge that, really.
Because why?
Well, sort of.
All I know is I'm taking that day off work. That's why I know.
Kwanzaa?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Kwanzaa's not a single day celebration, is it?
I'm taking it off.
You're taking all of Kwanzaa off? I thought Kwanzaa is...
I'm taking December 26th off.
Oh. I think
I'm taking December 19th off as well.
I'm taking the 24th through the end of the month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't have the seniority for that.
Here's something interesting. At least I think this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the same thing as Hanukkah, but Passover is like the longest, like continually celebrated religious ceremony or whatever in the world.
Ever since Egypt?
Yes, the very first Passover was in Egypt.
When they were slaves?
when that very first night when they go
When they built the pyramids.
put the blood on the door frame and all that stuff, they had to cook their lamb. They had to have their belt on. They had to be ready to take off. And so they're having their lamb that night. They leave the next day. And ever since then, boom, 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 Passover has been celebrated. That's thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Crazy. Oh, no. I was thinking of there's a Feast of Trumpets. It's not Passover, but it's one of the other ones. But it's like, it's not on the same day. It's not how, like, for us, Thanksgiving is not exactly the same number day every year, but it's always like the fourth Thursday. This Feast of Trumpets has to be like the seventh day after this full moon or whatever.
Right.
But it also be like certain people have to be able to see the full moon. So even if it's like cloudy, then it like starts later and
Oh, interesting.
So it's like never exactly on the same.
Well, that's
day.
like Hanukkah is never the same. You know, Easter's not the same, but Easter is. We took that one over, but
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Well, that's because Passover, blah blah.
And then have you heard of the fishing wire that goes like around Manhattan?
Is this a Jewish thing?
Yeah. The Jewish thing that has to do with like doing work on the Sabbath.
No.
They're like not allowed, whatever the Sabbath rules are.
Right.
The ones that involve like what you're allowed to do in your home or outside your home, like with like trading goods or stuff like that. They have a thing that is a little fishing wire that follows the telephone lines around like the city of Manhattan. And there's other ones in different big cities. And it's like blessed by the synagogue or whatever, but so that's like part of their home. And so they're allowed to be inside this fishing line, so that way on the Sabbath they can still like go to Starbucks or whatever.
You're kind of like playing with the rules.
Oh yeah, it's like just because you turn off the light in your refrigerator door, I mean, you're still using a refrigerator.
Dude, I'm right there with you. You're just bending the fishing line around a city. I'm gonna have to look that up though. That's weird.
It has a name. Eruv. ERUV. That's what it's called.
Eruv.
It's a symbolic enclosure that makes the outside the inside.
We are learning stuff.
Oh, I just came up with the best idea for all of you people.
I'm not used to you talking so loud. You're Mr. Opinionated tonight.
For all those people that are tired of quarantining and staying in place and masks and whatnot, here's what we need to do. Make a fishing line around your city and say, this is now my home. So we're not out in public anymore. So you just, all those rules out the window.
But then all those people are your brothers and sisters.
Exactly. You're all dwelling together already. So you know.
But it's the old days, so you can do lots of stuff with them you can't nowadays.
I'm talking about COVID stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if they're your brothers and sisters, that complicates a lot of relationship things.
They're not your brothers and sisters. They just live in the same household.
Well, then you're all related.
Sister wives.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to be related to live in the same household. You can have roommates.
I don't know if people did that back then.
You can have Eruv mates, if that's how you say that. ERUV.
You know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I bet they didn't really do that a lot back then.
Have roommates.
Yeah.
Some like, Jewish carpenter just like wants to get out of his mom and dad's house, and so he goes and gets a house with a couple of his other buddies.
Yeah, you wouldn't really do that back then.
Probably not. Well, most cultures that they have the big family compounds.
And it's like you had your little stack of land or whatever, and it's like the only way you're going to get land for yourself, back then it was a big overlords and,
lords and ladies.
Big countries, taking over
city-states.
And then the only way you were going to get land, you can go down the road and buy land from Joe Schmo. You would just have to wait till your parents are dead, and then all of a sudden you got a house.
Yeah, or like by marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Or war.
Yeah, you probably didn't, get a flat with your mates.
Yeah.
4 of your mates.
Yeah.
Down the street from Boris Johnson.
Yeah. You weren't at 10 Downing Street. You're at like 12 Downing Street.
Yeah.
Flatmates.
Tammy's probably the only one to laugh about this, but one time, Pastor Jennings went to like freaking, I don't know where he went, Canada or Europe or something like that.
Okay.
And they don't call it leasing there, like renting an apartment. They call it let.
Oh, really?
Or something like that. So it's like for let.
Oh.
But he did this whole sermon. Like his heart was definitely good about it, but it was like the most convoluted sermon about let God into your heart.
Oh, he's using
and it
the
was
phrase.
Like lease, kind of like let him leasing there so he can.
Yeah, but no one got it because they're all American.
It was just crazy. Oh
You
man,
still have
I
your
still got my
badge?
work badge on.
What the heck?
Pause. Take over the podcast.
Oh my gosh, Michael just pulled a badge out of his shirt.
I didn't even realize it was there.
Anyway, yeah. Flatmates, never had them.
I never had them either. Wait, you never had roommates?
You had roommates in college.
You had Warren Kinzer.
I had a rattlesnake in my bed for 7 years.
I got a rattlesnake in my bed every night. My first roommate was Warren Kinzer. He denied eating some deli ham that I had in my fridge one time.
And you had
the weekend.
The other roommate who never denied eating Cheetos and Doritos and wiping their hand on the chair.
Oh yeah. Then, well, that was later. So then, oh no, yeah, I think he was next.
Isn't it crazy? It's small world that one random day I played worship with Warren Kinzer in some random school in Kirkland or something.
That's weird. Warren Kinzer, nice guy. He just ate my deli meat one time.
Well, he's a big dude.
Yeah, it's from Boring, Oregon. Nice, great. He was so good at guitar. I mean, he just had the dexterity of one of those like Japanese kids you see on the
Right, except he had the fingers of.
But except his fingers were
Andre
fat,
the Giant,
and it was really cool. He could do like 2 strings at once on the
'cause
guitar.
his fingers so fat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like super interesting. He was really good. He played bass in like a Beatles, pretty fancy like Beatles.
I know with
band.
Jesse.
Did Jesse play in it?
Yeah, he was the drummer.
Um.
They wore the wigs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder who got who in the band.
Well, I think he played the bass, so he was probably Paul McCartney.
I think Warren was first because there was a bunch of older guys.
Oh, who got him into the band?
Because I think Warren played with 3 older guys first.
Oh.
And they were somehow like, okay. They had some sort of blessing from the.
Oh.
Because they like, got to record like a Beatles album and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was something official about it.
And then he was in that other band. Oh, shoot. I can't even remember the name of it.
So then I had the roommate, Sean Gray, and he played video games. And he failed out of a bunch of classes.
Mm-hmm.
He spent some extra time there, I believe. But he was the one, like, he was for like failing out of school, but he was reading all these books and stuff. And that's when I read the Lord of the Rings series because I'm like, because he used to read that every year. And I'm like, I can't let this guy be a reader and then me not be a reader.
Yeah. So he was into reading just what he wanted to, not
exactly.
school.
He read all these Halo books.
Yeah,
remember
I read
Halo
the
back
first
then?
one.
Oh,
I
really?
tried to read the first one.
He had like 30 of them or something.
There was a lot of them.
I don't know if they were officially licensed or not. Hard to say.
I think so.
But we listened to a ton of Blink-182 and Dashboard Confessional.
Where are you? I'm so sorry.
I will still go and listen to Blink-182 because of him. But Dashboard, not so much.
Nah.
But then I had Shane McCroskey, and he was on the soccer team for a while. But also, he was the one that we napped together at certain times. Not in the same bed, just at the same time. And we used to play Keith Urban. That was our alarm clock in the morning. The song about breaking up with you, Take Your Cat and Leave My Sweater. That song. Take your cat and leave my sweater, 'cause we got nothing left to weather. In fact, I feel a whole lot better.
I've never had a song as my alarm.
Me. That's just a good song.
There's already a song that there's songs that play off my phone that like the 4 songs I've downloaded to my phone on the Apple that play when I plug it into the car.
Oh,
and I hate them all now.
I know. I have like 4 like songs that start with A that come up, you know.
Ed Sheeran, A-Team.
No, I wouldn't dare.
That's a lot of people's car song because it comes right up there.
Oh, because it's A dash even.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in the class A-Team.
I don't even have them downloaded on my phone, but they're ready to go because you're connected to Wi-Fi. I think that's how that works.
I don't know. Mine are on my phone.
Yeah, I have ones that aren't even downloaded and they play when I get in the car. Anyways, yeah, so I had roommates and then I got my own room when I was in college.
Yeah.
Just to pay a little bit more. You know, paid for it for 12 years or whatever. Interest, 4% a year.
Yeah.
So I could have my own room. And that's all. But I didn't. And then I got married to Tammy my senior year of college.
I had roommates before I got married, I guess. Grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. You had roommates. Family can be your roommates. That's what we were saying. Just draw the fishing wire around it.
Exactly. And there was lots of fishing wire around Grandpa's house.
Dad joke 101.
One day I'll be a great dad, and it'll just be dad jokes left and right.
Left and right. Oh, my gosh. I got laying another Bible thing tonight. And you know the story with Solomon? Where it's like, you know, he says like, hey, it's the 2 ladies fighting over the baby.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they're like,
okay, cut her in half.
Like, cut it in half. And then she's like, no. Let her have it. And he's like, oh, you're the mom because you want the baby to live.
Right.
Well, I did not remember all the details of that story. It's actually written a little bit like gruesomely.
Yeah.
Number 1, it's 2 prostitutes. So we're starting off in a seedy part of town.
Right.
And then it gets full on into detail. It says the one baby died because she rolled over on it in her sleep.
Oof.
So
co-sleeping.
I know it's already like it gets too real too fast. She gets up and she's flatmates. The 2 prostitutes are flatmates.
Housemates. House bunnies.
They had a baby within 3 days of each other. So the one sex worker, let's call him, the one sex worker, she exchanges the babies in the sleep.
Mid-sleep?
Mid-sleep, while the other one.
Oh my gosh.
The other lady wakes up and is like, yo, this is not my baby.
And it's dead.
Oh, no, that's the thing. She goes to feed it. And she's like, yo, this baby isn't latching on.
This is a hairless cat.
Yeah. This baby's feeding about as good as a hairless cat would. I.e., it's dead.
Oof.
So anyway, you get in all that story.
Before you even get to King Solomon.
And Tammy's sharing the details with me tonight. I'm like, you got to have been making this up. This is like a weird.
What version are you reading?
No, I just turned to 1 Kings chapter 3 and it was right there, dog.
Dang.
And But I was trying to find where the story was because I didn't know it was First Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just go into the concordance, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me just look up dead baby. And Landon thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard in his life, because it's so ridiculous. That's not really a dad joke. It's just
When
fun.
you make your
It's
kids...
just funny to make your kids laugh.
Yeah. That was like when I worked at the school. That was just jokes all the time.
Yeah.
I don't remember specifically any right now, but it was a good time.
It was a good time. What about the pencil and the... Just say that one more time.
Okay. There was this kid who was really good at beatboxing. And one day he was on a wild spell, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes he acted good, At this point, he was trying to take a pencil, put it in his butt, and touch teachers with it. Eraser end towards the butthole.
Yeah.
Puts it in, then takes it out, and is
yeah.
dying laughing, touching teachers with it. At first, unbeknownst that it has been in the rectal area.
Yeah.
And then it becomes known. And then later, wherever I came into the story, I thought he was free of the pencil at this point, but then he got another pencil, and I see it go into his pants, and then he comes towards me with it, and I do a little,
Expelliarmus, I hope you did.
Pretty much. Except I somehow reached with my same side arm and then grabbed the back of his hand to where it was a clamp around the back of his hand.
Oh, what are you, those videos where they show how to take the gun?
The Detroit safety or the Detroit self-defense guy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I somehow, grabbed the back of his hand so that it, clamped his hand like this away from me with the poo pencil. And then, did a little, spun him around with it. And then, put him on the ground.
Did you get his arm like that fast?
Yeah, so I spun him around like that,
oh.
And then put him on the ground, and then pulled it back, and then pulled his hand back out, and squeezed the back of his hand so that he dropped the pencil and fling it, and then picked him up by his armpits, and I think he went into the padded room. But
okay,
when you work at a school for mental health.
Yeah, mental health.
Disordered children.
Yeah, disordered.
There's a padded room, okay?
Yeah.
I was legally trained on how to
exactly
restrain children.
Now, when I mimicked what I thought maybe you did, which was this little...
It wasn't
what's
completely that far. I don't know. Police do that a lot.
Yeah,
the whole arm behind the back.
Yeah,
thing.
the little arm behind your back. You get the elbow bent, and you start shoving their hand up towards the middle of their back.
Yeah,
you controlling them or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I just flashed back
to when you got arrested.
No.
Oh,
my father.
Mm-hmm.
He always did this to me.
Really?
Yes.
That's weird.
Painfully. And it would always be like, ha 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 ha. We'd be doing father-son wrestling where it's it's a funny thing wrestling with kids,
Oh yeah.
Cuz it's
they obviously have no chance.
It's always playing in that middle ground between not making them upset, but restraining them enough so you can just tickle them wildly,
yeah,
without them getting mad, and they love it, and I
did not love it,
and as a parent, well, exactly, as a parent where that line is. It's easy because they're either going like this. Ooh,
or they're going,
do it again, ah. Or they're like, get off, Stop!
or screaming like high pitched. But
Now,
imagine you're touching me with a poopy pencil. I'll show you what I did. Like, come at me, like
come at me, bro.
a Avada Kedavra style.
Oh, where'd it go?
Yeah, so you have poo pencil like that. I came like under like this and went back of the
Careful,
hand.
I have carpal tunnel.
Back of the hand like this. So that way you're not touching
that's
me.
perfect.
And then spun around this way. And then onto the ground. And then shake it. Squeeze it out. Squeeze it out like that.
Yeah. But playing with your kids is a funny thing. So it's like, man. So many things come up on this podcast.
But the tickling, yeah.
Well, it's all included because there's a restraint to the tickling as well.
If you want
And
to
the wrestling
restrain me and tickle me now, that's like guaranteed. Like, I'll see red. You'll get an elbow to the nose, like, and I won't feel any remorse.
Exactly. You know what? Okay, that's a great example. Landon will endure tickling way longer. But Declan, he's got a few, seconds in him, and then he's done.
Yeah, he's like, nah.
He comes back.
Yeah,
and he wants to do it again, but he doesn't have that enduring. He has too much of a competitive motor, and he'll get too angry. So I don't let him get to that point. It's easy to tell, but okay, you were talking about a purposeful pencil goosing.
Yeah.
He goosed himself.
Yeah.
But sometimes somebody else gooses you.
Yeah.
Much like an invasive goosing or a too much tickling.
Mm-hmm.
There can be a point where children fathers should not exacerbate their children. That's also in the Bible. And sometimes I felt exacerbated.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it just like goes in steps where it's like they try to do what happened to them, but then sorry, I got real lazy with the microphone. I had it laying on my chest and I'm talking with my hands. Maybe say this. You have a kid.
Exactly.
You do what your dad did to you.
Exactly.
And maybe you can endure tickling.
I don't know.
Oh. And so you do it.
You were saying something different.
And so then you do it to your kid because you're like, oh, people can be tickled nonstop or whatever. And then.
Yeah, but why put them in a police hold?
Because that's what they did back in the day. They were rough and tough.
And he always used to take my ankle. Did he do the thing to you where you take your ankle and he twists you either way? So
I don't remember hardly any.
What?
I don't have a good memory.
I just remember being messed with. Like
I remember being held down and tickled.
Like Saw 7 or something. Just being tortured and restrained.
I don't really remember.
You don't remember this. Is this bringing back memories? And then you have to turn with it or else your ankle breaks, but you're only 6?
I don't. I have no memory of that.
What about this?
Yeesh.
You don't remember? You don't have any goosing memories?
I don't have goosing memories.
You don't have police restraint memories?
No.
You don't have memories of being next to a cliff and then him grabbing you and going... Ah.
That I have a memory. Yeah, I have a memory of that.
What other things? You don't have memories of being in the shower and him pouring cold water on you?
Yeah. But then I started doing the cold water back in the shower.
What are some other ones?
But I have a bad memory. Like I have a really bad memory.
That's the trauma. That's why you have a weighted blanket.
I have a bad memory. But what was I saying? Okay, so imagine you have a kid, so you do what your dad did, but then
that's what I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say you took it. You're taking it out on your kids because that happened to you. But you're saying You remember a good thing.
I'm just saying you don't even know that there is some like line to cross because that was your experience.
Sociopath.
No, because that was your experience. But then you realize, oh, he's crying or whatever. Something happened. So then you don't do it to the second kid, i.e. me, whatever. Maybe that happened.
I don't know.
Or I just have a bad memory.
Maybe you just got bored.
Yeah.
We were 6 years apart. You just, hey.
We did that already.
Yeah.
Maybe. I was busy.
Maybe mom shut it down because she's like, saw how I came out. So she's like, hey, I think that had an effect, actually. Let's try to not do that this time.
Yeah, 6 years later. 6 years of planning later. 6 years of experience.
6 years of seeing my trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to wrap us up with the running through a crosswalk?
Sure. When does this episode come out?
It's the day before your birthday. Happy birthday tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks, man. 31 years old. Can you believe that?
Oh, man. 31 on 21. 21st, that is.
21. 2021.
Ooh.
All right. Here's the problem, people. I work on a street called Holgate Street. And
what?
Holgate.
That's
Holgate.
Okay.
There is not a crosswalk between my building and the majority of the train yard. So I'm constantly standing there waiting for cars to go by, which is it's not that busy, and there's lights on either end, so a lot of times there's walking. But there'll be one car coming and the whole road will be clear, but it just happens to be when I walk out there, one car is coming and I'm just waiting for it to go by.
Oh.
And guess what happens?
If you're going where I think you're going, the car stops.
Yes.
Ugh.
And it makes me so angry.
I know.
Because here's the whole rule with cars, traffic, driving on the road, everything. Go with the flow of traffic and follow the rules of the road.
I agree.
Nowhere, anywhere does it say to stop in the middle of a road, especially, and this is not when there's one car out there. There's multiple cars on the road and it's 2 lanes and one car will stop and the people behind them are like, what the heck? And then there's people in the other lane that can't see me that are still going.
Exactly.
They can't see me because they're behind the big truck or whatever.
Exactly.
And so they think they're doing a good deed and they're not. They're doing a disservice to me because I'm expecting them to follow the rules of the road. They're doing a disservice to the people behind them. They're doing a disservice to the other lane because there could be now a person walking out in front of them. So here's the deal. Don't ever stop in the middle of a road
for a pedestrian.
For a pedestrian. There are designated crosswalks where they can go behind you.
Even if there is a designated crosswalk, like in front of a grocery store or whatever, like there's that little bit of a line. Speaking of lines, there's that little bit of a line where it's like okay to keep on driving. They're not, they're.
The parking lot's a very slow speed.
The 1 inch of the front of their grocery cart is coming out into the road. It's like you don't have to stop at that exact moment. Yes, the rule of the road is stop for
when you're
pedestrians.
In the parking lot, I feel like it flips a little bit. The pedestrian has the right of way, but then you're also all more equal because you're all going a little slower.
Exactly. There has to be a more symbiotic relationship in that sense. It's like,
yeah, this is a 2-lane, 35-mile-an-hour road or whatever.
No, don't stop. Okay, and Another thing is like when a car stops, let's say you're a car and they're trying to let you out, even to turn right in front of them or something. But when cars stop and there's no cars behind them, it's like, I know that you're not paying attention to what's happening around you, because if you were, you would notice there's no car for, a mile behind you. And if you would just go, I would have all day to pull out.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going on. You're not a good driver.
Or the worst spot, coming down Cedric, Chevron on the right, 3 lanes of turn lanes and whatnot to cross, and a double yellow line, and then 2 lanes of traffic going the opposite direction. And they want to turn left to go up Cedric. And so people stop right there to let them out of that Chevron. And there's all the other lanes that they have to cross in the double lane. And people come flying down the hill to get into the turn lane, which they are allowed to do. And then that person stops there and they can't see. And they try to cross 5 lanes of traffic to turn left out of there, crossing the double yellow.
People do that on Point Fosdick. They try to let somebody turn. The inside lane stops or whatever to let somebody turn. But there's so many people turning left that the left lane is all backed up. But the right lane, they're just cruising. They see the green light ahead.
Yep.
And so they're going, and people plow into each other.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
And here is the other PSA.
Don't make up rules for yourself.
Everyone, and this is more personal. When you're in a crosswalk and you got the green light, you got the little walking man, and you're crossing the road, or maybe there's no little man. Maybe you're just at a stop sign and there's a crosswalk and you're crossing and the car stopped. You do not have to awkwardly jog or run across the crosswalk.
Yeah.
It is your right as a pedestrian, taking your time to stop at the crosswalk to walk at your own convenient pace across the crosswalk.
Yeah.
You're not doing a disservice to the cars by walking. You're not putting someone out. That is the way the world works, and you do not need to put yourself out by awkwardly jogging or running across the crosswalk. No. I cringe when I see that. People just need to own themselves. You're there. You're a pedestrian. You're walking. Don't need to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm using the crosswalk. I'm sorry. I'm where I'm supposed to be in front of you and crossing the street. That takes 5 seconds. I'm really sorry. Let me across the street.
I'm with you, dog.
Few things make me mad in the world, and that's one of them.
Well, I also remember Father honking his horn in his big truck at people in the crosswalk just to laugh.
Just to make the noise?
Yeah, just to scare the bejesus out of them.
Because there's the people that put the train horns on their trucks.
No, not a train horn.
And then they do it like in the drive-thru of a McDonald's or something to scare the people because it's so loud. That's not funny.
Would you like to see us out because it's your birthday tomorrow, or would you like me to wrap up the pod as a gift to you?
I'd like you to do it as a gift to me and to say 3 things nice about me.
3 things nice about you. How serious? Not serious? Okay.
That's up to you.
3 things nice. 1. Man. Tune in next week when I think of 3 nice things about Will. It's going to take some time.